They were certainly thankful for another opportunity to be gathered together again in God's house. Well, Anthony's already said, but we certainly appreciate everyone that's come, appreciate the visitors that are here.
Amen.
If you've been saved, why don't you count yourself a visitor? You do what the Lord wants you, bid you to do.
Right.
Y'all do pray for me. We certainly can't do anything without the Lord. I'm just as weak today as I was the first time I ever stood. Because I know I can't do anything without Him helping me. We're going to read a few verses of Scripture. Be found in the 5th chapter of 2 Corinthians. Probably the first 11 or 12 verses. This is the Apostle Paul writing to the church of Corinth. It says, "For we know that if our earthly house of this tabernacle were dissolved, we have a building of God, and a house not made with hands, eternal in the heavens. For in this we groan, earnestly desiring to be clothed upon with our house which is from heaven. If so be that being clothed we shall not be found naked. For we that are in this tabernacle do groan, being burdened, not that we would be unclothed, but clothed upon, that mortality might be swallowed up of life. Now he that hath wrought us for the selfsame thing is God, who also hath given unto us the earnest of the Spirit. Therefore we are always confident, knowing that whilst we are at home in the body, we are absent from the Lord. For we walk by faith, not by sight. We are confident, I say, and willing rather to be absent from the body and to be present with the Lord. Wherefore we labor, that whether present or absent, we may be accepted of Him. For we must all appear before the judgment seat of Christ, that everyone may receive the things done in his body according to that he hath done, whether it be good or bad. Knowing therefore the terror of the Lord, we persuade men, but we are made manifest unto God, and I trust also are made manifest in your conscience. With the mistakes that we have made in our reading, that's reading the first 11 verses of the 5th of 2 Corinthians 5th chapter, or reading lesson. And our thought, I guess, has been upon our mind for a little bit, where that he said, "Wherefore we labor, that whether present or absent, we may be accepted of Him."
Yep.
But he said, "We are, I say, and willing rather to be absent from the body and be present with the Lord." And when we are absent, we as God's children, when we are absent from the body, when death overtakes us and we leave this old man that you're looking at here tonight, we'll be with the Lord. Mm-hmm. And I'm thankful for that tonight, that one night laying in the floor under an altar, the Lord saved my unworthy soul. And I thought about, y'all do pray for me, I thought about something while I was sitting back here a while ago, thinking about the night I got saved. And there was a young lady down on the altar, down on this end, seeking the Lord when I was laying in the floor. And she got saved, and she come up and telling about being saved, and her daddy started shouting. And I had a thought that I never had before. That's the first time I really believed God would save me.
Yep.
And I believed it. I said, "Lord, you saved her. I believe you'll save me." Now that's what the Bible says. "Whosoever believeth in Him should not perish, but have everlasting life."
Yep.
That's all I done. I believed. I believed it with all of my heart that He would save me. And at that very moment, that trouble that I had in here went away, and one of the sweetest peace
Yep.
came into my heart.
Yep. Yep.
And I know that that's where the Lord saved my soul. Been almost 60 years ago. And I feel it just as much tonight as I did then.
Yep.
That experience that I had that night. Now listen, it is y'all pray for me, it is appointed unto man once to die.
Yep.
Right.
And everything that I'm looking at tonight is not eternal, it's temporal.
Yep.
Yep.
When the Lord comes back, this building, everything in this world is going to burn up.
Right.
But what we can't see is eternal.
Right.
We can't see a soul. You know, me and Brother Anthony, we've had a couple of funerals together, I guess, or maybe more than that. He's had a lot and I've had a lot. But you know one thing I've never seen buried is a soul.
Right.
The body goes back in that ground and goes back to the dust of the earth, but that soul, death is when the soul comes out of the body.
Right.
And if it's a saved person, they'll fly away yonder to be with God.
Right.
But if it's a lost soul, it will go yonder where the rich man is,
Right.
in a devil's hell,
That's
and
right.
be tormented day and night forever and forever.
Amen.
Listen, sinner, you need to realize this is not something that you can figure out with your carnal mind. It is not of the carnal mind. It is of the spirit, of the soul of man. That is the only eternal thing there is about us.
Right.
Listen, you go and dig up a grave of maybe that's been in the ground for 100 years. I had a friend of mine, one time his daddy got a job to move a cemetery. They were fixing to put a lake over top of it. And he said some of them graves were so old, when you got down so far, the only way you knew you got where the body was the difference in the color of the dirt. The body had went back to the dust of the ground.
Amen.
From dust we were, and dust we shall return.
Amen.
This body is going back to the dust of the ground.
Amen.
But the soul of man, it'll never die.
Right.
Right.
Never die.
Right.
It'll never die. Listen, you might think, well, I'll just die and that'll be the end of it. No, it won't. No, it won't. Listen, we have a record of the men, two men. One of them a Pharisee that we standing and talking. Y'all pray for him. Standing there talking to the Lord and bragging about himself. Lord, I'm not like that old publican over yonder. Why, I fast twice a day. I do this. I do that. Listen, it's not what you do. It's what God can do
Amen.
for you.
Yeah.
It's not what you can do.
That's right.
Now listen, every one of us, there is a soul within us.
Right.
When God, y'all pray for him, when God created Adam, formed him out of the dust of the ground, he done something to that man that he hadn't done to any of the animals he created. He breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and that man became a living soul.
Amen.
That's right.
A living soul.
That's right.
Every one of us here tonight had got a soul within this body. Some of you young children, y'all are under the protection of the power of God.
Yep.
But there comes a time, we don't know when it'll be, but there comes a time when you will become accountable before God.
Yep.
Before God, you will become accountable. And the very moment that happens, you're just as doomed for hell as you will ever be.
Amen.
As you will ever be. That old Pharisee bragging about himself, but there was an old publican that was not so much as raised his eyes toward heaven, but smote upon his breast.
Yep.
Said, God, be merciful to me, a sinner.
Yep.
Now the first thing you're going to have to do if you're lost is admit the fact that you are a sinner.
That's right.
You know, you can deny. I know I did. I become accountable when I was almost 13 years old. I didn't run to the altar. I tried to hide that. And sinner, if you're here tonight trying to do that, you can hide it from us. You can lie to us and tell us you're not lost. But I tell you, the one that really knows, and that's God.
Amen.
He knows where you stand.
Right.
Knows where you stand. That's the one you've got to be honest with.
Yep.
That's the one that you have got to be honest with. You know, this old body, it is sown a natural body. It'll be raised a spiritual body.
Amen.
Now, every one of us are going to die. I believe this. I preach what I believe. If the Lord split the eastern sky tonight, every one of us would die right immediately.
Amen.
The glory of His coming would be such that every one of us would die and be changed in just a moment, in the twinkling of an eye. We'd have, us that are saved, would have a new body fashioned like unto the Son of God, and we'd rise up together to meet Him in the air.
Yep. Amen.
What about you, sinner? What about you? Oh, you'll die too. But I tell you what you'll have a body that will not burn up.
Right.
It will not burn up. You say, well, that's impossible. Fire destroys everything. Think about Moses, Noah, walking out on the mountain where there was a bush that burned, but it was not consumed.
Yep.
God told Moses, take the shoes off your feet. The ground you're standing on is holy ground.
Amen.
Listen, you'll burn and burn and burn in hell.
Right.
The old rich man we read about in the 16th chapter of the book of Luke, he's still down there tonight. He's still begging.
Yeah.
Still begging. I've heard a case one time. I think it's Brother Bobby Hale told me about this person up where they live. Never had even tried to seek God. Run out the door. Let me tell you something, sinner. You run out that door back yonder, but God will meet you out there too.
That's right.
He's out there too.
Right.
Listen. But he said this man on his deathbed was begging people to pull him up. Pull him up. His feet was on fire. Listen, I believe that old Stephen, when he was being stoned to death, I believe he looked into heaven and saw Jesus standing at the Father's right hand.
Yep.
He got a glimpse before he went there.
Amen.
Listen, I believe sometimes lost people get just a little glimpse of where they're going. The flames of hell, the lake of fire is waiting on you.
Yeah.
Waiting on you.
God help you.
All you got to do is just push God aside.
Right.
Push Him aside. Oh, you might say, well, I'll wait a little while. When I have, be like old Felix over there, when I have a convenient season.
Yeah.
Listen, you'll never have a better more convenient time than right now to seek God.
Right.
And seek Him till you find Him. And believe in Him with all of your heart. That's all God asks. For God so loved the world, He gave His only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in Him should not perish, but have everlasting life. And the first thing you've got to do is believe with a carnal mind.
Yeah.
I believe from the time I was just a little boy that Jesus was the Son of God. I believed that, but it was a carnal mind belief. But that night I got saved, I believed it with the heart.
Amen.
And He granted me the faith to believe in Him with all of my heart.
Yep.
For by grace are you saved in God.
Yep.
I never could have come up with it by myself. If I could have saved myself, I could have bragged about it. But you know, I couldn't. The only thing I could do just when I get to glory is just bow in front of the Lord and say, thank you, Lord,
Yep.
for saving a wretch like me.
Yep.
Now listen, I don't know the heart of anyone here, but you know your heart.
Yep.
You know where you stand. You might say, well, I want to be saved, but I want to put it off a little while. Want to do this. You'll never have a better opportunity than tonight.
That's right.
I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that I am the sorriest thing that God ever saved. I know that. I wasn't worthy of His love. I wasn't worthy of even the air that I breathe. But He had mercy on me. Had mercy on me. That's what you've got to beg God for. Have mercy.
Yep.
Mercy. Listen, I wish I could somehow or another have the words to help you to realize. Now you can build up a pressure against God and be bullheaded and say, I've heard it said, some say, I'll never go to an altar. Well, listen, you don't have to come to an altar, but you got to be willing to come God's way.
Amen.
And if He wants you on the altar, you're going to have to get on it.
Amen.
You're going to have to get on it. I know there was a old lady over at Calvary. Her daughter and granddaughter was members of the church. This old lady, she was probably in her 70s. She come there one night. Everybody was talking to her. Her daughter was talking to her. And she just sat there. But finally, her daughter looked at her and said, Mama, so we're trying to get her to come to an altar and pray. She said, Mama, said, won't you at least go up there for one prayer? The old lady stood up, and when she stood up, she threw her hand straight up. All she had to do was get up. All she had to do was get up and make it. And the Lord saved her. Listen, you don't have to do no great thing, but you're going to have to come God's way.
Amen.
She threw her hand right straight up and started praising the Lord. Praising the Lord. You don't have to do anything.
Right.
You don't have to do anything, but you cannot be, if the Lord shows you you need to do something, you're going to have to do that.
Amen.
You're going to have to do that. I didn't want to go to an altar. I didn't. I'm sure none of us did. No. But you know, I'm glad of the convicting power of God that drove into my heart that condemnation, and I'm glad and thankful for a mother that loved me enough that she was willing to come and talk to me. And I don't think she said much of anything, but when I looked in her face, my heart broke. And I'll tell you one thing, you need a broken heart and a contrite spirit.
Amen.
That's what you need. What you got to have. A broken heart and a contrite spirit, and that's what God will look at. Listen, if you want to live in glory when this life down here is over and you know you're lost, tonight could be the night that you would seek God and seek Him till you find Him. And I guarantee you, I've never heard anybody that's been saved that ever made the statement, I wish I hadn't done that. I never have heard that. I tell you one thing, I've seen some of the cold-hearted sinners you ever seen that get saved and just saw the shout all over the house. Yep. There was a lady one night at Piper's Chapel in a singing. She was sitting on the second seat of the church, and we was having a singing. Our pastor got up and led a song and preached a sermon there for about 10 or 15 minutes, and the Spirit come on the scene, and that's what we've got to have, the Spirit. Here, convicting these sinners. But she was standing up there, and she had a hold of the back of the bench, and she was almost white knuckled. All at once, she took off out the front door and run out the door. And everybody looked at her as she went out. And it wasn't but just a little few minutes. Here she come back. And she told it later. She come there, and God saved. She said, I went out there in the truck and locked the door. But you know who got in there with the Lord? Brought her back. Here she came back up there, and God saved. Listen, you're going to have to be willing to lay aside your pride and everything and just fully trust and believe in the Lord. He'll grant you the faith to believe in Him.
Right.
He'll grant you that. I know I ain't nothing but just a sinner saved by the grace of God. That's all in the world I ain't. Seems like the older I get, the more it's harder for me to remember things anymore. Sometimes I think I have to pull my driver's license out to see what my name is. But listen, God knows all about me, just like He knows all about you.
That's right.
I thought tonight about my granddaddy. Had a sister, half-sister, years ago when he was just a young boy. She was on her deathbed. Everybody gathered around. Her daddy was worried about her because she got saved. Said she got saved when she was about 8 years old. He was concerned, really concerned. She was laying there and they was all gathered around her crying. And they said she looked like she done passed on. Said in a minute she opened her eyes, looked at them, said if y'all could see where I was going, you wouldn't be praying, you wouldn't be crying for this. No.
Yeah.
Old Stephen got a little glance.
Yep.
I believe she did, and I believe that might have been something that God allowed to help her daddy and her family realize that she was all right.
Yep.
She was all right. Listen, it doesn't matter how old you are. You can be 8, 9, 10, whatever. But when that knowledge comes into your heart that you're lost, you need to do something about it.
Amen.
There ain't but one thing you can do, and that's pray and beg God to save your unworthy soul. And it is an unworthy soul, because I know mine was. Mine still is. But God had mercy on me and saved my unworthy soul. One of these days, when He called me home, I'm going to fly away yonder to be with God. And stay there forever and forever.
That's right.
Now listen, you young people, I know you look at life as being, it'll last forever. No, it won't. No, it won't. It'll fly by faster than a weaver's shuttle. That's what Job said. It'll go by in a hurry. I'm glad above everything else in the world that the Lord saved my soul. I didn't ask Him to call me to preach. In fact, I run from it like a scalded dog. But if finally it comes down to the point, do it or die, or somebody in my family is going to die. If I knew I could go home, lay that book down, and never pick it up again, I'd probably do it. But I'd be afraid to. I know Brother Anthony probably do the same thing, but we'd be afraid to. This is our scattered message. Y'all pray for us. If you're here and you're lost, please come and seek the Lord while that He may be found.